Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep today into, well, a corner of the internet that's maybe way more complex than it looks at first glance.
Yep.
Building strong, thriving communities on TikTok.
It's funny. For a lot of people, TikTok is still just like viral dances and quick trends, right?
Totally.
But our source material for this deep dive paints a completely different picture. I mean, in 2024, it's really emerged as a serious powerhouse for genuine connection and growth.
Exactly. We're not just talking about hitting viral, are we? We're talking about turning those kind of passive scrolling viewers into people who feel a real sense of belonging,
Mm-hmm.
to your space.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission here, this deep dive, is basically to pull out the actual strategic principles and like actionable tactics from the sources that make that transformation happen.
And actually, right up front, it's worth mentioning. The material points out that if you're just starting out or maybe trying to get that initial lift, get the right eyeballs on your stuff. Exploring tools like rapidboost.net is presented as potentially giving your profile an extra edge. The source suggests it can help kind of boost that initial credibility and discovery, maybe give your community efforts a bit of a jumpstart.
Hmm. Interesting. So it's fascinating how these sources really hammer home that community isn't just like a happy accident on TikTok. It's something you have to deliberately build.
Yeah, intentionally designed.
Right. And the first big question they seem to tackle is, why does building community on TikTok even matter so much right now, more than ever?
Well, the way the sources describe it, TikTok isn't just another platform. It's this incredibly dense network, almost like microcultures just pop up overnight,
Yeah.
trends explode. And frankly, it's a place where genuinely authentic voices can actually cut through the noise.
Okay.
So in that kind of environment, having a strong core community isn't just, nice to have. It's actually what separates you from the crowd.
And what really jumps out from the analysis, I thought, was that data point they highlight. Nearly 70% of TikTok users report feeling closer to brands or creators they actively engage with on the app.
That's a huge number. It really underlines that potential for real connection, doesn't it?
It does. It shows you're not just broadcasting at people. You actually have this opportunity to build like genuine relationships right there.
And that point you made about designing interactions, it's not random. It's intentional work to deepen that sense of belonging. It takes effort.
So, okay, intentional design, effort. What do these sources say are the absolute foundational blocks? Like, what do you need in place to even start building this kind of community?
They break it down into a few core elements, seems like. First and foremost, authenticity. The material's pretty clear on this. Forget trying to be perfect.
Right.
Share the behind-the-scenes stuff. Talk about the failures. Show your creative process. People connect with vulnerability. Embracing imperfection and, genuine emotion is key.
I think that's so counterintuitive for a lot of social media.
Mm-hmm.
We're sort of trained to just show the highlight reel, aren't we?
We are.
But the sources are saying no. Showing the stumbles is actually a strategic advantage because it makes you relatable.
Exactly. And that leads directly into the next big piece. Shared values and identity. Communities, at their heart, they form around people who feel like they belong together.
Uh-huh. People like me.
Yeah, people like me, people who share a similar outlook or interest. So you have to figure out and actually communicate what you stand for. Is it specific expertise, a certain kind of humor, a lifestyle, whatever it is, that clarity acts like a magnet for the right people.
Okay, so you attract them with authenticity and values,
Yeah.
but then you got to keep...
Right. And that means showing up. Consistency with valuable content isn't optional. The sources are pretty blunt.
Mm.
If you post randomly, you're going to get random results. Simple as that.
And value isn't just like educational tutorials, is it?
Not at all. Value can be entertainment, it can be inspiration, it could just be a quick mental escape. It's broader than just teaching something.
Got it. But it can't just be you talking at them.
No way.
Yeah.
It absolutely cannot be a one-way street. The analysis really emphasizes two-way communication. You can't just post and walk away. You need to be a conversation partner.
So like actually responding to comments?
Definitely responding to comments, using the Stitch or Duet features with other users, genuinely asking questions in your video. That's how you keep the loop open and make people feel heard.
And you have to kind of live and breathe the platform itself, yeah. What works on, I don't know, Instagram probably won't just copy paste onto TikTok.
Rarely does. You have to understand the native formats, the trends, the sounds, the challenges, the hashtags. The sources basically say embracing the unique TikTok ecosystem is non-negotiable if you want to build community there.
It's fascinating how these foundational pieces, they're not just buzzwords, are they? They're like the underlying structure that makes any growth tactics actually work long term. build something meaningful.
That's a great way to put it. It's the foundation.
Right. So, okay, foundation understood. How do you then figure out what to consistently create? The sources get into crafting your unique voice and figuring out your content pillars.
Yeah, this North Star concept they mention is really key here. The idea is to pick maybe 2 or 3 primary topics or recurring themes that you'll consistently create around.
Okay.
The material uses the example of like a fitness creator focusing on quick workouts, nutrition hacks, and motivational stories. That predictability builds recognition, helps people know what they're going to get from you.
And within those pillars, you got to let your actual personality shine through.
Oh, absolutely. The sources say show your quirks, your inside jokes, even your mess-ups. When it feels genuinely you, followers start to feel like they're part of something exclusive, kind of like insiders.
Makes sense. And then experimenting with the different formats.
Crucial. Duets, stitches, green screen effects, Q&As, try them all out. The sources definitely recommend tracking what resonates most, like what gets the most comments or shares or maybe even rewatches.
And then you refine or replicate those formats that are working for your audience.
And they also talk about using strategic series and challenges.
Yeah, that's a powerful tactic. Think about like a weekly minute motivation series or maybe creating a challenge like Show Us Your WFH setup that explicitly asks for audience participation, gets people involved.
There's that great case study they mentioned about this at Budgeting Babe.
Yeah, she started a $20 grocery challenge where she'd show what she could buy for $20. Simple idea.
Right.
But then viewers started doing their own versions, sharing them, and she'd stitch their videos or celebrate their efforts in her comments. That consistent format, plus her interaction around it, built this really active sub-community, all focused on that specific challenge.
Wow. That really shows how a simple, repeatable idea can become a community hub when you layer in that interaction piece.
Totally.
And speaking of interaction, the sources are super clear. Your comment section, that's like a secret weapon. Oh, absolutely. Mastering conversation, that art of active engagement, isn't just, good manners. It's actually strategic. The material suggests trying to reply to almost every single comment, especially when you're starting out or a video is new. Even just a quick thanks or an emoji can turn a casual viewer into someone who feels seen, and they're much more likely to come back.
And timing matters too, doesn't it? Replying quickly, within hours maybe, when a video is getting that initial traction.
Yeah, they say that can significantly boost its visibility in the algorithm, keep the momentum going.
Okay. What about highlighting contributions?
That's another great tactic they recommend. Pinning top comments, maybe highlighting insightful questions people ask, and really encouraging and resharing fan-made content duets, stitches inspired by your stuff.
The creation flywheel idea.
Exactly. It fuels this cycle where it's not just your content anymore, it's content inspired by and from the community itself.
Yeah.
Makes the audience part of the content generation.
I like that. And simple things, like ending videos with open-ended questions. Has this ever happened to you, or what do you think? Seems like an easy win.
Definitely. It invites deeper discussion, and honestly, it can generate amazing new content ideas just from the responses you get.
And doing things like periodic Fan Friday shout-outs or maybe Q&A videos addressing common questions.
Yeah, that rewards your most engaged audience members, makes them feel special, and encourages everyone else to participate more in the future.
Right. And jumping on trends is useful. But you got to add your own spin, right, within your niche.
Always. Add your unique perspective. Don't just copy the trend. Make it relevant to your community and your voice. Otherwise, you just blend in.
That case example of at the Planned Parenthood really illustrates this well, doesn't it?
Perfectly. They don't just show off pretty plants. They actively engage by reacting to viewer questions about plant problems, offering tailored advice and comments or follow-up videos. And they highlight audience successes, like when someone revives a plant using their tips. It builds immense trust and turns their comment section into this genuinely helpful mini forum. It's really smart.
So beyond just the comments, TikTok has these built-in features specifically for community building. What do the sources say about leveraging those effectively?
Duets and stitches are right at the top of that list. The source material basically says you should actively invite duets.
How so?
Like pose a challenge, ask for input on a story you're telling, start a trend that people can easily join. And stitching trending content is great too because it lets you insert your unique perspective into those bigger conversations already happening on the platform.
Makes sense. What about going live?
Highly recommended for forging those real-time bonds. You can do
Hmm.
Q&As, show some behind-the-scenes updates, maybe even review fan content live. It creates this sense of immediacy.
Yeah, you feel like you're right there.
Exactly. And you can use lives for loyalty rewards too. Shout-outs, maybe small giveaways for people who tune in, can be very effective.
And as your content library grows, playlists become super important, right?
Yeah.
For organizing everything.
Oh, totally. Playlists become your best friend. Organizing your videos into themed playlists makes it so much easier for newcomers to find what they're interested in and just binge watch. Hooks them faster.
Interesting point the sources make about just naming your community.
Yeah, isn't that fascinating? Just
Yeah.
giving your following a unique identity, whether you call them your bookworms or the DIY squad or the plant parents, like that example,
Uh-huh.
and actually using that branding in your videos and your comments, maybe even a dedicated hashtag, it fosters a surprisingly strong sense of belonging. People like being part of a named group.
And none of this strategy works if you're just guessing, right? Analytics are key.
Absolutely critical. The sources really stress using TikTok analytics. You need to be doing a weekly review, at least, of things like audience retention, peak watch times, which specific videos performed best and why. That data tells you what's actually resonated.
So you can double down on the winners, basically.
Exactly. Double down on the winners and maybe tweak or phase out what's clearly not working. Stop wasting effort on speech that falls flat.
That a Quick Guy case study is relevant here too with the hashtag challenge.
Right. They launched that DIYers United hashtag challenge, explicitly asking viewers to share their projects using that tag.
And it took off.
Massively, generated millions of views, hundreds of stitches and duets. It created this really palpable sense of like shared accomplishment among the community members. They built something together.
Wow. Okay, so building that kind of energy on TikTok, it kind of naturally makes you think, what about beyond the app itself? The sources talk about expanding off platform too.
Yeah, this is about building a wider ecosystem around your community. Invite your dedicated TikTok followers to maybe join an email list or a Discord server or follow you on Instagram.
You got to offer something different there, right?
Exactly the key. Offer unique value on each platform. Maybe it's more behind-the-scenes stuff on Instagram, exclusive guides or resources via email. Give them a reason to connect elsewhere.
Starting a community newsletter is one tactic you specifically mentioned.
Yeah, that's a great one. It's a way to curate maybe your best TikTok moments from the week, share stories from the community members themselves, and maybe provide more personal updates for your most dedicated fans who really want that deeper connection.
And collaborating with other creators.
Super powerful, especially if you find creators who have similar audiences but maybe offer a slightly different angle. Doing joint lives or challenges or even just shout-outs exposes your community to fresh faces and vice versa. It's like cross-pollinating growth.
Mm-hmm. And for really cementing those bonds, they even mention offline or hybrid events.
Yeah, things like virtual meetups, maybe online workshops, or if it's feasible, actual real-world gatherings. Those kinds of shared experiences really strengthen the community ties.
And they often create content and buzz that fuels virality back on TikTok too, I bet.
Definitely creates that loop. Look at the Chef Michaela example they use. She started a free cooking club email series. Members submit their own recipes, and then she tests them out and shares the results in her TikTok videos. It becomes this continuous loop of community-driven content that sparks growth on both platforms. Really smart synergy.
Now, all of this sounds really exciting and, potentially very effective. But the sources are realistic too. They acknowledge that building community isn't always going to be smooth sailing.
No, definitely not. Staying resilient and knowing how to navigate challenges is a big part of the process.
Like negative comments, they're going to happen.
They are inevitable, and the advice isn't just to ignore them necessarily, but to try and handle them with grace. Sometimes you can clarify a misunderstanding, maybe use humor if it fits, or even educate politely.
But some are just trolls.
Oh yeah, and for the outright trolls, block, filter, move on, don't feed the trolls.
Burnout seems like a huge risk here too, especially with the pressure for consistency.
Massive risk. The sources wisely point out that yes, consistency is important, but so is your own well-being. Rest is crucial.
So practical tips?
Batch recording content so you're not constantly scrambling. Recycling evergreen topics when you can. And actually scheduling planned silent days or breaks. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Good advice. And TikTok changes all the time, doesn't it? Staying ahead of platform updates.
Vital. You got to follow the creator updates TikTok puts out, maybe attend their webinars if they offer them. Keep an eye on the Help Center documentation. Just stay informed.
And if used dip or a strategy seems to stop working, Don't panic.
Exactly. Adapt. Don't just overreact and completely pivot your whole channel overnight. The sources suggest first checking your analytics, what does the data say? Then maybe get feedback directly from your audience. Often, subtle tweaks are enough to reignite interest, not some radical overhaul.
And finally, as your community grows, you can't do it all yourself forever.
Right. Empowering some of your core fans, maybe identifying potential moderators, can be incredibly helpful down the line. Trusting dedicated members to help manage comments or host discussions or even organize small challenges. It distributes the workload, plus it deepens their buy-in to the community.
Okay, so pulling all of this amazing insight together, what are the absolute must-dos, the key actionable steps that jump out from these sources?
All right, let's boil it down. First, define your community core. Know your values, your main 2-3 content pillars, what makes your perspective unique. Get clear on that.
Got it. Then,
Post with purpose and consistency. Aim for quality, but show up regularly. The sources suggest maybe 3 to 5 good videos a week, balancing trends with your own core series or topic.
okay, interaction next.
Absolutely. Ramp up that two-way interaction. Make replying to comments, especially early on, a real priority. Ask questions in your content. Actively reshare and engage with stuff your fans create.
Use the platform's tools.
Yep. Use TikTok's native features. Leverage duets, stitches, playlists. Go live strategically. Don't ignore the tools they give you.
And keep checking the dashboard.
Optimize with analytics. Regularly check your data, see what's working, why it's working, and do more of that.
But think bigger picture.
Expand off platform. Create those other spaces, email list, Discord, whatever fits for deeper connections, and offer different types of value there. Build that ecosystem.
And keep learning.
Review, refine, repeat. Dedicate time each week maybe to look at the analytics, gather feedback, maybe even brainstorm what's next with input from your core audience members. It's an ongoing cycle.
And circling back to where we started for a sec, the source also suggests that for getting that initial momentum, making sure your efforts catch the right eyes quickly.
Right.
Leveraging tools like rapidboost.net is presented as one way to potentially elevate your profile and help keep that follower growth moving forward.
So when you put it all together, what does this really mean for you, the listener? I think it means building a strong community on TikTok isn't about finding one single magic trick, is it?
No, not at all. It's this ongoing process, really. It's about being authentic,
Yeah.
having a clear strategy, prioritizing genuine interaction, and constantly paying attention and adapting to what's working and what your audience wants.
It's fundamentally about valuing that real conversation and connection more than just chasing vanity metrics like follower counts. It's about deliberately building an identity, a real sense of belonging, and strategically using the platform's tools to deepen those human bonds.
Yeah. And this raises a really important question, I think. These sources remind us that literally every single major creator you see on the platform today, no matter how huge they seem, they started from exactly where you might be right now.
Yeah.
0 followers, maybe just one idea.
That's a powerful thought.
So what compelling idea do you have bubbling inside? What could be the spark, the seed for TikTok's next great community? The roadmap the material lays out seems clear. Stay consistent, stay curious, and maybe most importantly, stay connected.